Gentlelady from California.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Mueller, as you know, we are focusing on 5 obstruction episodes today. I would like to ask you about the second of those 5 obstruction episodes. It is in the section of your report, beginning on page 113 of Volume 2, entitled, quote, "The President orders McGahn to deny that the President tried to fire the special counsel," end quote. On January 25th, 2018, the New York Times reported that, quote, "The President had ordered McGahn to have the Department of Justice fire you." Is that correct?
Correct.
And that story related to the events you already testified about here today. The President's calls to McGahn to have you removed, correct?
Correct.
After the news broke, did the President go on TV and deny the story?
Do not know.
In fact, the President said, quote, "Fake news, folks, fake news, a typical New York Times fake story," end quote, correct?
Correct.
But your investigation actually found substantial evidence that McGahn was ordered by the President to fire you, correct?
Yes.
Did the President's personal lawyer do something the following day in response to that news report?
I'd refer you to the coverage of this in the report.
On page 114, quote, "On January 26, 2018, the President's personal counsel called McGahn's attorney and said that the President wanted McGahn to put out a statement denying that he had been asked to fire the special counsel," end quote. Did McGahn do what the President asked?
I refer you to the report.
Communicating through his personal attorney, McGahn refused because he said, quote, that the Times story was accurate in reporting that the President wanted the special counsel removed. Isn't that right?
I believe it is, but I refer you again to the report.
Okay, so Mr. McGahn, through his personal attorney, told the President that he was not going to lie. Is that right?
True.
Did the President drop the issue?
I refer to the write-up of this in the report.
Okay, next, the President told the White House staff secretary, Rob Porter, to try to pressure McGahn to make a false denial. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What did he actually direct Porter to do?
And I would send you back to the report.
Okay, well, on page 113, it says, quote, "The President then directed Porter to tell McGahn to create a record to make it clear that the President never directed McGahn to fire you," end quote. Is that correct?
That is, as it's stated in the report.
And you found, quote, "The President said he wanted McGahn to write a letter to the file for our records," correct?
Correct.
And to be clear, the President is asking his White House counsel, Don McGahn, to create a record that McGahn believed to be untrue while you were in the midst of investigating the President for obstruction of justice, correct?
Generally correct.
And Mr. McGahn was an important witness in that investigation, wasn't he?
I'd have to say yes.
Did the President tell Porter to threaten McGahn if he didn't create the written denial?
I refer you to the write-up of it in the report.
In fact, didn't the President say, quote, and this is on page 116, "If he doesn't write a letter, then maybe I'll have to get rid of him," end quote?
Yes.
Did Porter deliver that threat?
I again refer you to the discussion that's found on page 115.
Okay, but the President still didn't give up, did he? So the President told McGahn directly to deny that the President told him to have you fired. Can you tell me exactly what happened?
I can't beyond what's in the report.
Well, on page 116, it says the President met him in the Oval Office. Quote, "The President began the Oval Office meeting by telling McGahn that the New York Times story didn't look good and McGahn needed to correct it." Is that correct?
Correct. So, as it's written in the report, yes.
The President asked McGahn whether he would do a correction, and McGahn said no. Correct?
That's accurate.
Well, Mr. Mueller, thank you for your investigation uncovering this very disturbing evidence. My friend, Mr. Richmond, will have additional questions on the subject. However, it is clear to me if anyone else had ordered a witness to create a false record and cover up acts that are subject of a law enforcement investigation, that person would be facing criminal charges. I yield back my time.